Namaskaram, Hari Om to everyone. So whenever you are doing Namaskaram, whenever you are bowing down to someone, it is just an opportunity to remind yourself that you are bowing down to the Atman, which is the common factor between you and him, between you and the others. And if you are able to remind yourself every time you salute another person, you greet another person, believe me, they can't be a greater thought. You can't have a greater satsang than that. So I bow down to the Atman in you. You are that very Atman. You are the truth. So the highest spiritual sadhana is to Brahmani adhaya karmani. You use Brahman and operate and perform actions. Adhaya means you rely, you depend, you use Brahman and perform your action. Write down this beautiful phrase, Brahmani adhaya karmani. Adhaya means you depend on, you use it. You use it as a prop. So to use the very Brahman itself as a very instrument for your action, to use Brahman as that which could draw you into action, is the highest action you can ever perform. Brahmani adhaya, adhaya amitama, double A, DH, AYA. Perfect. Brahmani adhaya karmani. Perfect. Use Brahman as a tool to perform your action. Now that's a very lofty state, but all of us are in the spiritual journey. And we all, having embarked on it, we all would seriously want to give it the necessary impetus, give it a necessary drive, so that your sadhana gains a certain momentum, isn't it? Because you're already on it. You want to get on with it. But the spiritual sadhana or the journey, which we say as getting established in sattva, is to getting enriched in sattva, is trying to promote your sattva guna. It can only happen when the rajas and tamo guna are conquered. Please mark the thoughts. I said the highest spiritual state is to use Brahman as an adhaya and perform karma. That's the highest performance of action. But wherever we are in the spiritual ladder, we would like to enhance that sattvic quotient in each one of us. The sattva should take a precedence over rajas and tamas. So getting established in sattva is nothing but conquering rajas and tamas. Now you may ask me, sir, why should I conquer rajas and tamas? Rajas and tamas should be conquered because it is the rajas and tamas that clouds your conscience. Please be very careful to understand the concept. You must get over, or you must conquer your Rajogunaha and Tamogunaha. Why should you conquer? In fact, your spiritual journey only starts when you conquer your Rajas and Tamas. Get that right, please. If you are involved in the Rajogunaha and Tamoguna, you are not spiritual. Your spiritual quotient, your spiritual sadhana, your spiritual journey begins by being in Sattva, by enhancing Sattva, by promoting Sattva. So spiritual journey begins by conquering your Rajas and Tamas. Now, why should you conquer Rajas and Tamas? Rajas and Tamas cloud your conscience. So only when the Rajas and Tamas is relatively conquered, the conscience emerges. Till then, your conscience is submerged. Only when your conscience emerges, you keep getting guided. Am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing to do? Only when the conscience emerges, you are being guided whether your action is right or wrong. When your conscience is clouded, you would not know whether you're doing the right thing or not. And no guru ever will tell you whether you're doing the right thing or not. So neither is your conscience guiding you, nor do you have the conviction or the knowledge, nor is there any external source of wisdom that's going to help you. So you're left to yourself, lost in your Rajo and Tamo Gunaha. Rajas is nothing but acquiring and greed, and Tamas is to indulge in what you acquired. Recklessly indulging, no self-control. There's no thought of the higher. So Rajas is when you want to grab, you want the world for yourself, and having got the world, you want to indulge in it. That is Rajas and Tamas. And when you are caught up in Rajas and Tamas, the Sattva in you is not there to help you. The conscience is clouded. You don't have the knowledge, nor do you have the guidance from the gurus. So the spiritual sadhana or the journey begins only when the evil is conquered. Even if somebody were to tell you, you will not understand because there's neither conscience, there's knowledge, nor is there any understanding. You will not understand. So your spiritual quest commences only when the evil is conquered. You might ask, why is it suddenly he's taken off in a different tangent? I'm very much in the Kenopanishad, please. If you know the story, it started in the part 3. We spoke about a story, didn't we? There was a victory, and Brahman won that victory. In that victory of Brahman, the God indeed became elated. The victory indeed is ours, the glory is ours. Huh? What is that? Rajas, isn't it? You found success, you have found reputation, you're conquered, but you've forgotten Brahman. And I said the highest spiritual thought is to remember Brahman in every action. So when I do namaskaram to you, I bow down to the Brahman in you, the Atman in you, the truth in you. Brahmani adhaya karman. But when you have forgotten Brahman, that means the sattva in you is gone. You don't remember Brahman, which is responsible for everything that you're doing. Therefore, only when the bad is conquered, your spiritual quest begins. Am I right? The rajas and tamas must be conquered, and that's when your spiritual quest begins. When the bad conquers the good, the conscience is clouded, you have no knowledge or conviction, nor are you receptive to any higher thought. Am I right? You all with me? Somebody wants to clarify. Reddy Garu.
Madam Guruji.
Namaskar.
I just would like to have a small clarification, Guruji, when we say that you need to conquer rajas and tamas because it clouds your, is it conscious or conscious? Because as my understanding goes in the last class of interaction, I'll just repeat what my understanding. Consciousness is Atman, is God. Conscience is messenger of God. And conscious is buddhi, intellect. There's nothing but convictions and values.
Yes.
So here, if really understand that to become an sattvic, so you need to conquer rajas and tamas. That's mostly happens from our intellect, the buddhi. So
Yes.
is it a conscious is the one we need to conquer?
Correct. So when your actions become unconscious, which is you are driven by the rajasic tendency, when you're impulsive, when your mind operates, when the ahankar and the ego and the greed takes over, what happens? Buddhi nashad pranashyati, intellect is gone. So intellect is gone, there is no knowledge, there is no awareness. Am I right?
Yes.
Point one. Point two, there is no conscience also guiding you because it is clouded by rajas and tamas. You would not know whether you're doing the right thing. When you're indulging recklessly into something, you would not know, I'm overdoing this. So anything which is done over, does it have a charm, sir? If I keep talking more than what I should talk, does it have a charm?
No.
If I sleep more than what I'm supposed to sleep, is it acceptable by your immediate environment where you're in?
No.
You become a workaholic. Is it acceptable by everybody around you? Is that good for you, sir?
No.
If you eat the world more than what you must eat, you hog the world as if there's no tomorrow for you. Is it acceptable? Is it pleasant to everybody around you?
No.
Remember, he said this knowledge is designed for those who don't eat too much, or eat too much or eat too little. Remember that. This knowledge is not designed for those who eat too much or eat too little, who sleep too much or sleep too little. So that is rajas and tamas. You eat the world. You got to contact the world, but unless and until there is no moderation, there's no sattva in you, the conscience is not going to guide you. You don't know whether you're doing the right thing because you're carried away by the rajas, which is the greed of having got what you want and recklessly indulging in what you've acquired. Sattva is out. So you're not conscious of what you're doing. Now would you heed any advice coming your way because you are completely enmeshed, clouded, shrouded in ignorance? So it actually fits in. And when your conscience is not guiding you, what makes you believe that your actions are leading towards the consciousness? Yes. You're nowhere near consciousness. You're all somewhere in avidya, maya. You're caught up in the maya. Am I right?
Yes, got that message. Thanks, Guruji.
Right, sir. So the first thing we got to do is conquer the negativity in you. the negativity in you, which is the Rajo and Tamo Gunaha. When the Rajas and Tamas in you is conquered, that is when your spiritual quest begins. Don't we do this in the festival Dashara? When you celebrate Dashara, what's the first thing that you do in the first 3 days, the 9 days of worshipping? The first 3 days, whom do you worship? The first 3 days, whom do you worship? Jayama?
Hariom Guruji. First 3 days we worship Lakshmi, second 3 days Saraswati, and last 3 days Durga.
என்ன உல்டா சொல்றீங்க?
That's what
there's a slight change in the order. The first 3 days, Goddess Durga is worshipped. Why is Goddess Durga worshipped? Is first, you must destroy the negativities, the impurities, the imperfections, Rajo and Tamoguna in you. So the first 3 days, Goddess Durga is worshipped. And then the second 3 days, Goddess Lakshmi is worshipped. Goddess Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, which symbolizing establishment of the higher values. So only when the negativity in you is destroyed, then only the positive qualities can be established. And only when you're established in Sattva, the last 3 days, Goddess Saraswati is worshipped. That is when you gain the knowledge of Brahman, isn't it? And the 10th day, the effigy of Ravana is destroyed, means the ego and the hankar is destroyed, and you have gained self-realization. So the first 3 days, Goddess Durga is destroyed because your negativities has to be destroyed. The negativity is nothing but your rajas and tamas. And then Goddess Lakshmi, your virtuous qualities come to the forefront. The sattvic gunas come to the forefront. And then you can gain the knowledge of the self, the Atma Vidya. A guru comes into your life because you have triggered the sattva in you. Guru will not come to you when you are with Rajo and Tamo. Remember that. Guru may be there with you, but he will not interfere with you because you are not interested in the sattva in yourself. You are identifying with your Rajo and Tamo. The Guru will not interfere. Carry on. You are just indulging and acquiring and indulging the world, the greed and indulging in what you acquired recklessly. You're indulging. There is no control over your own senses, no control over your tongue, no control over your sight, no control over any of your thing. Indulging. No wisdom can ever help you. First conquer that. Next, invoke the goodness in you, the sattva. When sattva is there in you, then you have created a demand for your spiritual transformation. Then comes Saraswati in your life. Then you worship the goddess of Saraswati. Then comes the wisdom through a form of a guru. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. Whenever there is a requirement to uplift yourself, then a guru comes. So even your own conscience, there is no greater guru than your conscience. But your conscience will not prick you if you are behind Rajas and Tamas, because it's clouded. So only when you try to initially even conquer that, get to Sattva, that's when your conscience clears up. The clouds clear up and the sun starts shining through. But the thick maze of the clouds, it becomes very misty, becomes very dark. Ignorance prevails. So Goddess Durga, Jama, it is Goddess Durga, it is Goddess Lakshmi, and Goddess Saraswati. And that is when Atma Vidya dawns on you. And there's enough of Atma Vidya you gain, you get self-realization, moksha. All right. I just thought it is so profound. This thought just cropped in my mind. I just wanted to paint that picture of how the spiritual journey, Brahman. In fact, what I've just little said, you can just put in a beautiful pointer and you will see a beautiful flow there. Brahmani adhaya karmani. First, your spiritual quest begins only when the rajas and tamas are conquered in you, which means the sattva comes to the forefront. When rajas and tamas, which is nothing but greed and that acquisition drive of wanting to grab the world for yourself and indulging the tamas, that rajo and tamo guna clouds your conscience, clouds your knowledge, and you will not be able to receive wisdom from the gurus. Three things. So therefore you must, when the rajo and tamo guna is conquered in you and sattva comes to the forefront, the knowledge appears in the form of a guru, because the need to uplift sattva, a guru comes and uplifts your sattvic quotient, isn't it? A guru has nothing to do with your rajasic and tamasic quotient. You are rajasic and tamasic, you carry on. You are not an adhikari. You become an adhikari only when you have the sattva in you. What connects us together is sattva. What tomorrow you don't want to enhance your sattva, I have got nothing to do with you. I will wish you well. I bow down to the Brahman in you, but are you interested in your spiritual upliftment? If you are not interested, I have nothing to do with you. You want to spiritually grow. You want this wisdom to come into your life. You got to conquer your tamas and rajas first. That is the sadhana you got to do and come to the guru. Don't expect the guru to do everything for you. The guru will do nothing, cannot do anything, because you have blanketed yourself through the greed and indulgence, rajas and tamas. Nothing can penetrate. I remember hearing from Chinmayanji. He used to say it's like pouring a bucket of tar on you, coal tar. Imagine if something is a cold, thick tar is poured on you. Nothing goes through, isn't it? Thick tar, thick ignorance, avidya, nothing can penetrate. On the level if you're in that level, nobody can help you. So there is neither conscience, there's no conviction, there's no knowledge, nor is there the knowledge from the gurus. And once you tap the sattva, that is when your spiritual sadhana begins. I'm just giving you the thought pattern so that you can jot it down. And that when you do that, your spiritual journey begins and your sattva starts. You're tapping your sattva, it starts to rise. So perhaps the first thing you will have to do is bring in a certain amount of self-control or sense control. If you don't have a self-control or sense control, you are not yet began your spiritual journey, because you're in rajas and tamas, and which is symbolized by conquering your negativities through worshipping Goddess Durga. Then you establish the virtuous qualities through worshipping Goddess Lakshmi, and through Goddess Saraswati is when the Atma Vidya, the knowledge of the self, is instilled. And then the ego Ravana in you is destroyed. There's no Ravana outside, the Ravana is within me. So when the Ravana in me is destroyed, you get to the self-realization. Okay. And there is a constant conflict between the good and the bad. So when the bad conquers the good, what happens when the bad conquers the good? There is no Brahman at all. There is no Haya. But the moment the good conquers the bad, the Yaksha, the apparition, appeared. That's the story.